Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of the Just Sing podcast. Today, I'm going to dedicate this one to and be talking about the ancestors today. I feel like I think it's been a while since I've given, don't get me wrong, I give my credence to my ancestors, to my guides, to my, protectors, to, my everything on the other side. I'll say that, but I haven't. Last time I actually spoke on the ancestors was when I was doing my YouTube channel. So I haven't really done anything for that here on the podcast. And this particular topic is very, I feel like it's very important because there's a lot of talk about ancestors. There's a lot of, reverence for them for the most part. But I feel like it gets cliche and it gets mundane sometimes because I feel like we're not really giving them the proper due, and I get it. It's because a lot of times we're coming from a perspective with them where we're transitioning from one state of belief and understanding to another, and we're trying to juxtapose a lot of the shit that we do for them, and it's sometimes it can get blinding, and it can blind us to what we really need to be doing for them. There's a lot of things that play its part into it, and there's a lot of things about a culture we assimilated to that we try to infuse within our ancestral connection, and it kind of fucks us up because that's not how we're supposed to infuse with them. But again, I'm just gonna give my own perspective. I'm gonna speak on what I feel with my ancestors, with the ancestors as a whole, and vibe out how I do. Like retrograde energy is heavy. A lot of these different types of energy is heavy right now, so bear with me, and bear with us all. We'll get through this shit. But nah, I'm fucking with you. But with that being said, because I'm gonna dive straight into it. Be sure to follow me on my Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to follow. Be sure to check out my website, IamJustSeen.com, to be taken to any of the platforms, any of the connections that I have, which is my trading, Just Seen Academy, which is my trading course and my vegan course. So Frail Books. I'm drawing a blank on my own shit. But just hit the website. You'll know how to get there. Like, all right. All right, let me get together. Look, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back, and then we're gonna hop straight back into the ancestors. Are we really calling on them the right way? Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. Let's hop back into it. First thing I want to do is I want to speak on reverence. I want to speak on the reverence we have for our ancestors and, our guides, or, those that are protecting us from the spiritual realm. Whether you call them the ancestors, whether you call them your angels, guardian angels, or whatever it is that you call them, there's intercessors, interceding energy on the other side protecting us, should we ask for that protection. But in our culture as a whole, we understand the concept of Ubuntu. I am because we are because I am. So that kind of makes us, in many times, generalize our ancestors, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Acknowledge every ancestor that you have, because each ancestor serves a specific role, plays a certain part in our lives. Again, should we call on them? But in that, we kind of forget an important piece. We kind of forget an important piece, and that's to call them by their names. I see it a lot. I myself do it too, and it's because of our cultural disconnect that we can't call our ancestors by the name. A lot of us don't know some of our ancestors' names because we can't go back that far. And we've been disconnected so much from our original connection that we forget them. And we make it okay to forget them over time, over generations. You feel what I mean? Which is poisonous to us. Because who do we call on in times of need? Like, really sit and think about that. Who do we call on in times of need? Who do we, invoke? And in the invocation, you have to ask yourself, are you calling on ancestors when you call on them that are actually serving you? And are you calling on ancestors who've made peace with the things that they've done in this physical plane? Are you calling on ancestors who have gone through the cleansing of the spirit that comes post-mortem? Have you, what are we really speaking to them the right way? And I say that because it's like, I see so many times we get into, I ain't gonna say hissy fits, but we get into debates and arguments with people about, who the ancestors are, like who's phony, who's fake, the type of people I hate. Hey. Nah, let me stop. I'm gonna be serious. That's another point about the ancestral connection, right? That's another point about any kind of spiritual connection. You still gotta, even in the Bible, it says you gotta come as you are, right? I think people miscited that. People think it's physically, oh, I go to church dressed. No, you gotta come as you really are. You feel me? Don't be out in the streets. Don't be out running around, frolicking around, gallivanting and shit, acting one way, and then you're a different way with your ancestors. You feel me? Because that's not they can't protect that. They can't protect the fraudulence in you. I know a lot of times I get the rap, well, you cuss too much, or, you don't speak like, I speak this way with my ancestors. I speak this way with my guides. I'm not telling you to do it because we have two different connections and two entirely different experiences with this other side. So that's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you what I do because I have to show up with my authentic self, because if I can't show up with them on my authentic self, my manifestations won't be authentic. My manifestations won't be what I need them to be, and my protection will not be guaranteed according to what I am. Because if I come to them, oh, I'm just a lowly servant, I'm this, I'm that, and that's what they're going to try to protect. And if I'm not exhibiting that in the world, what are they there for? You feel what I'm saying? What are they coming into my space for? So that was just to say, come as your authentic self, come as you are. You feel me? It's whether you're talking to the angels, whether you're talking about your deity, you have to come as you are. We say the beings know our heart. We be like, okay, yeah, that person knows my heart. But yet it does know your heart. But it knows that you're not coming to it or them as yourself when you come to yourself, as you're trying to be the humble servant. You're trying to be the lowly person who's not worthy to be in their presence or anything like that. No. My ancestors, my guides, my spiritual connection, it sent me here for a reason. It sent me here to be this way. I came into this motherfucking plane to be this way. Whatever mission I gotta fulfill in this world, I have to be this way. You feel me? I have to be. Now, That may not be your bag of groceries. That may not be your cup of tea. I can't tell you what to do with that shit. You know? But what I could do for me is live the life that I'm supposed to, as I am. I can't put on the mask. I can't put on the fake fraudulent front for people to see me one particular way. No, you have to see me as they sent me to be seen. Whew, that shit gave me chills when I said that. I have to be how they sent me to be seen. You feel me? Now, who that connects with, that's not my problem. That's not on me. Who that gets to, who my message is delivered to, what my mission is, who it's supposed to get to, it will get to that person. It will get to those people. It will get to that generation. It'll have that ripple effect as it's supposed to, but I have to be me and I have to be who they sent me to be. You feel me? So with that being said, that's one of the ways in which we honor and we show reverence to our ancestors. Even from a physical plane, you have to look at it like this. You know, you're a representation of your family. You're a representation of your family. Therefore, you're also a representation of your ancestors. How are they cultivating you? And how have you cultivated yourself? You feel what I mean? The greatest thing you could be in the face of this earth, and the best way that you can honor your ancestors, to be your authentic self. Be who you're supposed to be. You feel me? It's hard because it's a very thin line when we're not truly understanding that true essence. You feel what I mean? Because we've been indoctrinated to believe that we have to be what makes the world comfortable. We have to be what makes the world, feel good around us in order to give. No. You have to be what you have been sent in this motherfucker to be. You feel me? Whether that be, you following and you fucking with astrology to the T, and you're gonna be a fucking Aries through and through. Be that. Whether, you know what I'm saying, but you have to be what you're supposed to be, and that comes in a lot of times with the self-exploration. So when we consider paying reverence, you can build your altars. You feel me? You can give you can give your blessings, you can do your rituals, you can do all that shit. But if you are not your authentic self, you are not honoring your ancestors. You are not honoring your ancestors. You feel me? A lot of the shit, and for us, it's a lot harder because our native tongues are gone, so we have to honor them and we have to be who we are according to what we've been assimilated into. You feel me? But your essence, your core, it doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter what you follow. Your essence and your core is always going to surface. And your turmoil is going to come when you're not being your authentic self. Now, I'm not saying, it's going to be peaches and cream just because, no, life is life. You have to grow. You have to learn. You have to thrive. These are the things that have to challenge you and shape you and mold you. It's a part of life. It's the reality. It's what happens. You feel what I mean? But what I'm saying is the greatest form of one of the greatest, because there's another one I'm going to get to that a lot of us are violating. But one of the greatest forms of giving reverence to your ancestors, you can pour all the libations you want. You feel me? You can put all of the sacrifices out that you want. You can do anything that you want. But if you are not able to show up as your authentic self, who your essence tells you to be, who you are when nobody's fucking around, if you cannot be that when everybody's around, you're doing your ancestors a disservice. You're not being your authentic self. So when you ask for them to protect you, they have to protect your authentic self. This concept didn't hit me until I started seeing how the more transparent I became, the more authentic I was. That's when things really started to manifest themselves and change for me for the better. You feel me? When I was putting up the front and everything, like I left religion. I don't knock it. I don't knock it because it's supposed to get you to your spiritual path. You feel me? It's supposed to get you there, but it doesn't. It keeps you away from it if you don't truly understand the tenets that are in it. You feel me? Because you're not supposed to have to rely on it, So we get into these mentalities of what are we going to be? They ask you that all the time when you're a kid. What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. You feel me? I want to do this. And people cultivate, okay, you should be this because you're this. And you start to feed into that and you start to build it. There's nothing wrong with that. Build that shit. Go for it if that's what you go for. You feel me? But there's no reason why you should. Why when people ask who you want to be and it's not yourself, the answer is never yourself. That comes to that like, you feel me? Ask a child. When you get a chance, ask a young child. It has to be like, 4 or 5 years old, somewhere around there. You feel me? Because we're already cultivated and molded teenage years and everything. What do you want to be when you grow up? Blah, blah, blah. And we utter out, when we say, what do we want to be when we grow up? We utter out things like, job. We want to be jobs. We want to be titles. We don't want to be. Period, no comma. We don't want to be, and to be is to be yourself. You feel me? Which is one of the greatest ways to give honor to your ancestors every day. You know what I mean? And if you sit with a child, ask them what they want to be when they grow up, you'll see how the indoctrination starts. Well, I want to do this. I want to be this. You see the imagination of a child, you know what I mean? They can go from within one day, they say, oh, I want to be this when I grow up. 2 weeks later, and then one of the greatest poisons is as an adult to look at a child and say, I thought you said you wanted to do this. They changed their mind. Their being has shifted and they said, I don't want to be that anymore. I can still be that, but I don't want to be that anymore. Because they're coming to terms with who their self really is. You feel me? And that's what we're supposed to be, ourselves in this world. I fell victim to it. And it wasn't in any malice or any ill will towards the people that pushed it, but it made sense. When I was young, when I was like, I think I had to be like 3 or 4, I said I wanted to be a doctor because I knew that I was a healer at heart. I knew within me, but I could never formulate the words at the time to understand a healer. The only thing that I knew that healed was a doctor. I'm older now. I know that's bullshit. They don't heal shit. That's why I kind of unplugged from it. But everybody pushed that. And the moment I stopped wanting to be that, it was like everybody was like, yo, that's not right. You need to finish. You need to go back. You need to do this. You need to do that. Everybody's telling me what I need to do. But it's like, when I look at the things that are starting to manifest within me that are greater than what a doctor could have ever gave me, people still can't fathom it. They're like, so what are you going to, I'm being myself. Fuck these, I can achieve all of that shit and still be miserable because I'm not being myself. You feel what I mean? I'm not being myself. And that's how I honor my ancestors. One way that I honor my ancestors. And if you look at the title of the podcast, it's Profane Profundity. I'm a duality. I'm a conundrum. I'm split. And that's fully me. You feel what I'm saying? I know at times it can seem as if like I do multiple things. And it's like, this is all just out of one extension and one vein. You feel me? And I'm able to do that because I'm able to be myself. And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I can't do that. And it unlocks my unlimited potential, which enhances my connection with my ancestors. Because I'm being who I was sent here to be. I'm completing the mission I was sent here to be. I was sent to complete. So it's like, are we doing that? And my revelation came to me like, had I have not, if I would have still been trying to wear the mask, I'm this person, I'm that person, like I was miserable. And I can't ask my ancestors, I can't come to my ancestors miserable. I can't come to them in misery. Because when you look at how the universe responds to you, it does not respond to what you want. It does not respond to what you ask for. It responds to what you exude the most. What you speak about the most. Not talk about. What you speak about the most. The words you utter. I use this all the time as an example because it fits and it's so heavy. When women say they can't stand fuckboys, they don't like fuckboys, but all they talk about is fuckboys, the universe does not see that you don't want a fuckboy. See, this is what all you talk about. So this is what you're going to be calibrated towards. You feel me? This is what your life is going to be around. This is what's going to consume you. Fuck boys. Dudes be like, I'm getting this money for these women, for this, that, and the third, and say, I don't want a gold digger. But I want a woman who's gravitated towards what I'm exuding. A gold digger, bro. You're going to be a lick. It's that simple. It's that simple, but it's still that complex. Because the universe, our ancestors, when they intercede on our behalf, they have to intercede for our authenticity. So sometimes we're looking at life and be like, why am I not receiving the blessings? Why am I putting in? Are you being yourself? Not just behind closed doors, but when the doors are open, when the windows are open, when the light is shining in, are you really being yourself? Because that's one of the ways that you pay reverence to your ancestors. You feel me? I can't call on all my ancestors by name. I can't. You feel me? But I have to split the duality. You feel me? I know one side of my family and I know the other side of my family, and I'm both of those in the physical form. You feel what I mean? And that hindered me for a long time. It hindered me for a long time because I could never honor my father's side of the family. I could not honor the ancestors that were infused within me from my father's side of the family because he wasn't there. So I disconnected everything from him. You feel me? My relationship with my grandmother on my mother's side was a lot stronger than it is with my relationship with my grandmother on my father's side because of my father. Because I made that disconnect. If I'm not fucking with you, I'm not fucking with anything no. He's an individual person. He has nothing to do with what occurred on that spiritual side. There's probably somebody on his side, on his lineage, that I might be a direct descendant of. I don't like to use the word descendant. Let me change that because I don't feel like we go down. I feel like we go up. But anyway, my whole perspective and my whole outlook on that comes from knowing that, am I really doing what I'm here for? Or am I really honoring my ancestors? Yeah, I set up the whole altar. I got my candles lit. I got all of that shit. And then I would be talking to people. And they'd be like, you pray a lot. Don't know, I don't pray. I mean, I gave a podcast episode on the difference between prayer and all of that shit. I meditate and I do all of that. But I'm like, I still show up as my authentic self. That's really the only thing that protects me, my genuine self. You know, I can bury the offerings. I can do all of the stuff that I do, but it means nothing if I'm not being my authentic self. When I am setting my intentions, when I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and when I'm just living my normal life, I have to be that for my ancestors to continually protect me, because that's what they're protecting. See, they're not protecting our physical being. They're not even protecting our mental being. They're protecting our souls. They're guiding our souls. They're like, but our soul has to be its authentic self. Therefore, every other manifestation has to be authentic as well. Like, you ever wondered how you could put in so much work for something and it still not manifest itself? And then you can't figure out why. You're like, yo, I'm doing all of the steps that's necessary, but are you infusing that with authenticity? Are you? Because it's not necessarily about changing the world or changing the scope or whatever, or being a piece of something. No, you have to be your own piece into this own world. And your ancestors, your guys, you have to honor them with that. And you have to honor them mainly by being yourself. Mainly. That's one of the ways. So this is why it's important, like, if we were created in his image, then call us by our name. How many of our ancestors do we know the names of? Like, directly know the names of, that we can actually call on. But not only do we know their names, we know them. Both of my grandfathers died before I was even born. I know their names. I don't know them. So calling on their name is not going to do anything good. It's not going to do anything for me. But then also knowing their essence will help me say, oh, I don't need to be calling on you, bro. I don't need to be calling on you, bro. It makes no sense. You feel me? Because now I'm calling on something that I really don't need to be having in my life. That's why it's important to know your ancestors, because like I said, when we generalize it, we call on all of them. And it makes sense, like, why when it comes to history, why we only learn about pacifism, why we don't really learn about the gangsters and shit. We don't learn about the gangster ancestors, because when you channel your gangster ancestors, then, you feel me, you got to bring that side out. You feel what I mean? You got to bring that side out. And I think that's one of the hindering pieces to it. Like, history and ancestral lineage go hand in hand. When you destroy somebody's history, like when you destroy how great somebody is, then when they looking for the ancestors, they have to look on what's been destroyed. You feel me? I don't knock the civil rights people. The movement was trash. I don't knock the people because they did what they thought was necessary. They did what they thought. But those ancestors I cannot call on. I refuse to call on them, because it's like, your physical embodiment in this plane is what got me in this position where I have to get out. I can't call on you because you don't have the answers, and you don't have the direction that I need, because I'm not trying to continue a loop that's fucking us up. You feel me? I can't follow that, you know. But when you get that stripped away from you, you know, if you follow it, the ancestral lineage says, you know, that's why it's very, 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 very important to watch how Black History Month always talks about Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and a lot of passive motherfuckers. It does that shit for a reason. I'm going to teach you which ancestors you should invoke. I'm going to teach you which ancestors you should call on. And this is why they demonize some of them. Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, they were not bad people. But again, this goes back to what I'll be saying about how the God of your enemy is your devil. So if they're demonizing people that have done good for you, but they didn't do it a passive way, you feel me? They held guns. You know what I'm saying? They had pride in themselves. You're not gonna call on them as long as you feel that they're evil, because they don't appeal to the God of your enemy, and the God of your enemy is your devil. Why would you appeal to your devil? You feel me? The ancestors watch that. The ancestors see that. Those energetic forces on the other side are seeing that. Your authentic self is not meant to be beat the fuck up on a regular basis. It's the first form, the first rule of nature is self-preservation. And we have reached the point where we're willing to preserve the selves of everybody else except us first. We're last. No, that's not the case. So our ancestors have to deal with that. If our authentic self is like, our ancestors have to see that, you know, and we got to deal with the aftermath that comes with that, you know. So it's like when we get wrapped up in, you know, paying homage to the ancestors and stuff, we have to make sure we understand the full dynamic of it. Me personally, if I ask for any kind of intercession from any ancestors, I make sure that it's clarified. And this is with all respect due. If any, I don't allow the suckers to come into the space. I don't want any sucker shit done. I don't want anybody who is on some sucker shit. Because when you say, okay, I want all the ancestors to protect me or whatever the case may be, and you're not your authentic self, but at the end of the day, the authentic self that you're exuding is connected to a very motherfucker who kind of aligned with COINTELPRO. It's connected with a very motherfucker who helped bring down the sabotaged Black movements. If those are the ancestors that you're calling on, because that's where your mentality and your spirit is set, it's calibrated towards, what do you think is gonna happen? You're gonna look down on your people. You're gonna look at them a certain way, and that's not truly honoring your ancestors. Because the bulk of them want us to be free. All of them want us to be free. A lot of them don't want to just get along and, you know, kumbaya and, oh, if we're good enough, then they'll change. No, they won't. They've been like this since we met them. That's them. That's stupid to believe that they're going to do any of it. Their ancestors are still fueling them to be what? Our opposition. And of course, they're going to reap it because they're doing the service for their ancestors. But we're not. You feel me? We're not. And that goes into, the homage. Like I tell people all the time, like, you cannot, it's sad that I even got to say it, like, you cannot continue to live it's a split nature. You cannot continue to ask your ancestors for shit and go against it. You cannot continue to pray to a deity and then go against it. If your deity says, okay, I want you to be free, you can't do shit that puts you in captivity. And you can't honor people that are putting you in captivity. You feel me? That's what we do. That's what we've gotten into. And it's because our ancestral connection is gone. Our ancestral connection is tainted, fucked up, twisted, and manipulated. You feel me? They're like, I don't want to dwell on that part too much. But the point of that was, let me get back on track. The reverence, one of the first ways of reverence that we give and pay homage to our ancestors to show up as our authentic self, day in and day out. You feel me? My ancestors, but this is not to say in the same breath, only focus on one dynamic. Because we had happy ancestors at one point in time, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. You feel me? We had warrior spirit ancestors. We had, peaceful ancestors. We had that. But we have to understand peace. And this is why my slogan is peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Because peace is not the absence of chaos. It's the control of it. You cannot be peaceful without being able to go to war. That's what people miss that shit a lot. You feel me? People miss that shit a lot. So we need to connect with our ancestors who do shit like that, but we need to study them and know them. For example, Shaka Zulu. When the colonizers met Shaka Zulu, they told him that he will burn in hell if he did not convert to Christianity. And he looked them in the face and said, where I'm from, we eat fire. Whoo. That shit touches me still because it's real. So we look back, okay, we came from kings and queens. We was kings, we was queens. Are we doing what those kings and queens did? Because for one, a lot of those kings and queens did not follow religion. Now I get it. When you go back to Kemet, Egypt, or whatnot, now you have to understand the differentiation between the two. You have Egypt and you have Kemet. We keep learning about Egypt and we're not paying attention to Kemet. You feel me? They're two totally different understandings, right? So when we look at Egypt, they're like, yo, we had Coptic Christians. Egypt had Christianity too. Egypt had Coptic Christians. And it was co-opted. You feel me? And those same things were the ones who were able to be shifted. You feel me? But the ones who did not practice Christianity, because Kemet had to have a shift. And that's when, the Roman influence came in, Cleopatra, not Cleopatra. Was it Cleopatra? She was married to Caesar. I think Cleopatra, she was married to Caesar or something like that. Whatever it was, they bridged the gap. You feel me? That wasn't supposed to be. So it's a lot of dynamics that play into it when we look at the Coptic Christian side, because, there was still Christianity here. Okay. And at some point it all ended up in slavery. Right? Prior to that, when they was practicing, Natarianism, Sumeria, whatever the case may be, they didn't honor that. They honored the stars, they honored the numbers, they honored symbols, energy, and esoteric magic. Hell, if you look at Hebrew, the Hebrew language, like this is what be getting me about, people that follow that doctrine, that say they're Hebrew, but they don't want to pay attention to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and what they mean and how they're directly correlated to the tree of life. So before a book can be written, let's say that the Hebrews did write the book, right? Let's say, okay, Hebrews wrote it, they created it, white people stole it, whatever the case may be. Let's look at it like that. But at the end of the day, before a book can be written, right? Because you got to go through the phases. Before a book can be written, you have to understand the syntax. You have to understand sentence structure. You have to understand story mode. And then you have to, before story mode, you have to understand paragraphs. You feel me? In order to understand a paragraph, you have to understand sentence structure. To understand sentence structure, you have to understand grammar. To understand grammar, you have to understand words. To understand words, you have to understand letters. To understand letters means that you know where the alphabet came up and what the purpose of it is. There's not an accident why the ancestors that are Hebrews, that were Hebrews, that spoke the Hebrew language, why they have the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet directly correlating to the 22 paths of the tree of life. So what are we honoring? Are we honoring those ancestors who truly knew what the fuck was going on, or those who just kind of let somebody else tell them what their shit was? You feel me? So how will the ancestors really move for us? You have to, when that happens, how you're moving is how those ancestors coming in. If you want warrior ancestors, you have to come as a warrior, not a barbarian. You feel me? If you want thinking, and if you want the ancestors to give you clear thought and better and a higher order of thinking, you have to call on those ancestors. That thought. You feel me? You have to be able to understand them. But do we know them? Look at our ancestral lineage. Like, really take a step back and sit and think about what our ancestors. Why there's a reason why our history teaches us that our ancestors were mindless. There's a reason why that they teach us that, you know, they had to come in and do all of these things to us. We were savages and all that. There's a reason why they teach that. Because I can't call on a savage ancestor. I refuse to. I won't call on these. But if you know the kings and queens, know them, know what they did, know how they lived, know what they ate, and then you're in line with that, those ancestors intercede on your behalf. That's why you have to show up with your authentic self and you have to be there, because those ancestors are who is coming. Those ancestors are who are going to be your guides. You feel me? Those ancestors are who are going to be your guides. So it goes back into what I'm saying. You got to call them by their names, but you have to know their essences in order to know what you're invoking. When you, like, the name that we give something is the first means of identifying something is to name it. And when you understand the name of something and you create and you connect its essence to that name, when you call on that name, it invokes that energy that being represented. So when you call on it, I need protection. Like, not on any funny shit, I can't call on protection from Martin Luther King. I want the ancestor Martin Luther King to guide me through this fire. No, I'm going to get burnt. I'm going to get burnt. Because I know I have the connection as to what he did. Like, you feel me? Nonviolent. I'm nonviolent with those who are nonviolent with me. But this is what we continually cyclically do. And it's imprinted within our unconscious mind to where we just act it out. I have a whole podcast episode on the conscious, subconscious, and the unconscious minds, where what hits your unconscious mind, you act out. You don't even have to think about it anymore. And that's what continual learning does. That's what continual information acquisition does. That's what it continually does to our being. You feel what I mean? So we're internalizing what we're supposed to see as an ancestor, what we're supposed to view. And regardless of what, like, if you study the spiritual side, whatever enters you, whatever comes to protect you, whatever comes to surround you or be around you and influence you, it needs permission to do so. This is going to lead me into my next point, but it needs the permission to do so. See, one of the biggest gripes and one of the biggest things that it's not a gripe. I don't even know why I said gripe. But one of the biggest hangups that we have is that we ask our ancestors for shit. We ask deities for shit. You don't ask them for anything. You command them to do it. Now, I know when me saying command, you're like, you can't tell them what to do. Yes, you can. And I'm not saying it in the sense of, yo, get down and lay down and do this for me. No. I'm not saying demand that they do anything. I'm saying command. See, the thing about a command is that in order for a command to work, you have to have the right input into it to get the right output. That's a command. I'm telling you to do something. So this is where the connection comes in. This is why you want to do ritual. This is why you want to give offerings. It's no different than the job. You don't even know that your employer has already commanded you to do a job when you got hired. You're commanded to do that, but you're compensated for it. Do you see how that works? When you're getting paid for that shit, they can command you to do it. to do it. And we be thinking command is a tyrant speaking down. No, a command is saying, hey, do this. This is your job description. I hired you. This is your job description. You get paid to do it. Do it. You feel me? When we get commanded to do shit that, peep this shit, yo. When we get commanded to do shit at work that's not in our job description, what do we say? You don't pay me enough for this, motherfucker. You don't pay me enough to do this extra shit. I'm not doing this extra shit. You feel me? How much more do you think our ancestors are going to do? If we're commanding them to do something, we have not compensated for them to do it. Do we really think that that's going to get answered? See, that's the thing. That's why they teach you to ask. They teach you to pray and they teach you to ask for this. You don't like ask and you shall receive. No, you have to command after you've given, after you have compensated. You dig what I mean? After you have compensated for that being to intercede for you. That's why a lot of people be like, yo, why my manifestations ain't? Because you're not commanding. You're asking and you're not giving anything. See, when you ask, when you ask somebody to do something, it's followed by a thank you. Which means that after you ask them to do something, the mentality is I ask you to do something, you do it, then I compensate you. No, you compensate somebody first and then they command. Then you can command them to do it. Same with our ancestors. We compensate them. We give them the offerings. We give them these things. And then we're able to invoke that and command them to do it. And that's when it gets done. We don't know how to command anything anymore. All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand. All right. You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QUARANTEEN. We don't. Because they're not going to move until that thanks comes in. But we have built a mentality within ourselves, because this is just the way the culture and society moves. You ask first, then they do the thing, and then you compensate them if it's worthy or not. Like, think about that shit. Like, that's what we do. You know what I mean? Even as an entrepreneur, I can attest to that shit. Like, if you do a service for a motherfucker, right? Then you have to, if you do a service for a motherfucker, they do the service and then you pay them. But before you pay them, you look at it and say, you know what? I don't like this. This is not what the case may be. Well, you didn't pay me first. You didn't pay me first. You pay me, then you can get the full quality in that and not even make the adjustments that you need, but you didn't pay me yet. You feel me? That's a different side of things. We get the compensation first. And then if you look at any service that you have, anything that you do, you have to give the compensation first before you can take anything away. Otherwise, you're stealing. You feel me? I can't go to the grocery store, fill my cart up with groceries, come home, eat the motherfuckers, then go back to the grocery store and say, here's the money, they were all good. Nah. You feel me? But when it comes to that spiritual side, we do it in that order. We ask them, wait for them to do something. We be like, yo, my blessing didn't come. Nothing happened. I've been praying and nothing happened. Did you give before you commanded? No, you didn't. You feel me? Now that's when it becomes a demand. You can't demand shit from the other side, bro. Sis, you have to command it. We command our ancestors. You feel me? We command them. And it's literally almost like a bank account with direct deposit. When you start doing more shit in the world that automatically compensates, when you command, the shit happens. It seems like it happens automatically. Like, oh, I didn't have to give anything. Yes, you did. You've been putting in the motherfucking work. You feel me? You've been putting in the motherfucking work. That's why I said being your 100% authentic self is compensation. It's reverence. It's like the reverence is compensation. You feel what I mean? When you compensate for your ancestors, when you compensate them and then you command them to do something, they'll do it. They'll do it. You feel me? But you have to keep that loop. You can't get into this mentality of, you know, I'm not going to start giving honor. I'm not going to start until something good happens with me. Nope. That's why your shit's miserable. That's why ain't shit popping for you. You feel me? Because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not paying reverence, which now leads me to the next point of the second main reason. The second main thing that you can do that's the most important to give 100% reverence to your ancestors, to your guides, to the spirit, to the source, God, Allah, Jehovah, Yeshua, Krishna, Buddha, whatever you're calling it. When you're giving 100% reverence to these beings, you are creating, stimulating, and sustaining a child. Now, some of us don't want to believe in reincarnation. That's fine. That's what it is. But our ancestors, they cycle back. What do you think they cycle back into? A fucking child. You feel me? So we can do all of this intercession. Oh, I'm gonna connect with my ancestors. I'm gonna do this with my ancestors, and you can't. Oh, you damage a child. You can't command shit. You can't even ask for shit off that level. You feel me? If you are not instilling anything for the future generations, if you are not paving the way and making something solid for the ancestors to come back, there is no reverence. There is no motherfucking reverence. You can pray all you want to. You can get whatever, you can put whatever ritual it is on your altar. You can give as many offerings as you want. You will start to negate a lot of your shit if you are not paying reverence to the ancestors that come back in this motherfucker. You feel me? See, this is why they got us wrapped up in the necromantic culture. We love the dead. We respect the dead. Like, we care for the dead. We do all of the shit for dead, but what about the motherfucking living? You feel me? They say, as Lil Wayne said it, they say you ain't great until someone assassinates. You feel me? You're nobody until somebody kills you. Think about that shit. Look at that mentality. You're nobody until somebody kills you. That is necromancy. It's not until a motherfucker dies that we pay attention to them while they're here. Not realizing, yo, this is a whole reincarnated ancestor that has come back to help us with some shit. I'm going to wait till they die. That's when it's going to matter. That's when they're going to matter. See, that necromancy, see, our cultural ancestral lineage, we never fucked with necromancy. We fucked with the living. Now, this is not to say that we didn't grieve at the death. Like, no, we did. But this is why they had parties right after. Like, our ancestral culture is ingrained in us. Like, we had parties after a person passed off, because at that point, we mourned for the fact that you're not here anymore. But we celebrated your entire life. We celebrated all. Like, now, look at it. So many people grieve for long periods of time because somebody died. They still hold on to that. They pay attention to the death, and the life is not even respected. That was an ancestor that came back. So you want me, now let me put this into perspective. I'm an ancestor, right? Let's say I'm an ancestor. You want me, and let's say I transition on, I'm an ancestor. You want me to come and help you, but while I was living, you overlooked me. How many ancestors do you overlook on a daily basis and don't even know it? All of them, because you don't anticipate that. We have not been taught the right way to know that our ancestors have come back into this motherfucker. I can't at one breath say I'm respecting my ancestors and not even pay attention to the ancestors that are here. Continue to damage, no, that's why the children are the future. That's why, because the children are the ancestors that have come back to say, let me start to change a little bit. Let me start this. Let me come back and pick up where I left off. Let me come back into this particular family and go through these particular trials so I can get to this point so I can carry things on. You have to, but no, what do we do? When our children come in, we beat them. We talk down to them. We give them a poor, fucked up inner voice. You feel me? to where we can say and speak negatively over ourselves, so negatively that our children just naturally feel defeated. Put this into perspective. If that is an ancestor that has come back as this child and you have already killed the mission that they were supposed to do you really think you should be blessed for that? Do you really feel like you should be blessed for that? This is why when I look at the shit, I put past my life trying to get my peers to do right, to do certain shit. Am I saying that I'm doing right? Fuck no, I don't know. I know I'm living my mission, and I know that I'm being my authentic self and doing that. So I'm giving my ancestors their reverence on that point. So when I command them to do something, when I go into the spirit side, when I do my meditations, when I go into that space, I don't ask them for shit. I don't come in as like, no, I come in as, yo, at one point, because it's like this, at one point, I'm going to be their ancestor that they're calling on. So we need to bridge a gap. You feel me? We need to bridge. I'm here on a physical plane. Tell me what you need me to do for when you come back into this motherfucker. We're not asking that. We get so caught up in, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Help me open this path, clear this path, keep me away from this person, block me from this person. No. We need to change that. What do y'all need me to do right now while I'm here for y'all to come back in this motherfucker? All right, cool. For me to do that, I need you to do this. That's commanding them. But you have to do your part. You have to live your mission. You have to complete that. I'm going to do this for you to do this point so you can come back into this motherfucker. Then when you come back into this point, bam, now we exchange that shit. It's a cycle. There's birth and rebirth. There is no death. There is no death. And that's how we need to be honoring our ancestors. You feel me? I respect the libations. I respect the offerings. I respect all of that. But there's a deeper way that you have to get there. You feel me? There's a deeper way that you can get there, and there's a lot easier where you don't need all of that stuff. You feel me? Because you have that direct connection. What do you all need me to do to prepare the way for you all so you can come back and start where you need to start with your mission? But here's what I need you to do for me. You feel me? I'm going to do this for you. Here's what you're going to do for me. All right, bam. The manifestations happen. Your path gets clear. Shit happens because now you're connected to the other side the right way. You're not asking them for shit. You're not begging them for shit. You're telling them you're doing your part for them. They're going to do their part for you. Why? Because they need you to be able to come back into this plane the right way. Just like you need them to leave out of this motherfucker the right way. You feel me? So when you become an ancestor, see, we got to think in this cyclic motion. You feel me? Every day I live my life like I know I'm going to be somebody's ancestor. I know motherfuckers are going to call on me. I know motherfuckers are going to be like, what do I do for this? I'm telling you right now, this is what you're going to have to do for me because I got to come back here to start over. You feel what I mean? One of my homies, he hit me up and he was like, yo, bro, you know, a lot of the ancestors are transitioning on, but it's like and he said in some regards, the baton has been passed to you. I said, it's not just me, but what people don't understand is there was an agreement prior to that. I'm coming back in this motherfucker because at one point I protected them. See, sometimes we forget to acknowledge our own power. The very people that have transitioned on into ancestors that I have learned from, that I have sat at their feet, that have guided me, that have given. Prior to that, I protected them on their quest before I came into this motherfucker. I protected them. I opened the path for them. I guided them because I said, I'm coming back. Here's what you have to do for me to come back. And it was like, all right, cool. But here's what I need you to do for me while I'm here so I can leave out. Then the overlap happened in which I'm like, oh shit, I can still pick up the pieces. Bam. You did right. Right? So now it's an interchange. Now I can call, like, I'm continuing the loop. You feel me? I'm continuing the loop. So it's like, When I put that shit into perspective and I really, really get down to the nitty gritty of it, I'm like, okay, our ancestral connection has been off. It's been completely tainted, completely misguided. You feel what I mean? So I'm on that side now where I can command them, because it's like, at one point you commanded me. See, we don't know our own power anymore. Ubuntu is a very, very powerful phrase, because it says, I am because we are, and we are because I am. Because at one point before I came back into this plane, people tell me all the time, yo, you've been here before. Duh, I know that I've been here before. But what did I do before I got into this motherfucker? I helped those that I knew were going to need, that I was going to need. I was that ancestor. We have to do that on all planes. You feel me? Same with children. At some point, I know my child may have to take care of me. Who knows for what? So I have to put myself in a position to take care of my child so they can take care of me the right way. Our disconnect has happened. Like, a lot of us have fucked up relationships with our parents for this very reason. Our relationships with our parents are very, very fucked up. And they're fucked up on the strength that, okay, how did we get this way? You're a child. You don't have any importance. Like, we don't have respect for children. How the fuck do you want respect? How the fuck do you have reverence and respect for the spiritual realm, for the ancestral realm, but you can't even respect the motherfucking child? They're the gateway. That's the intercessor. That's the recycle. You feel me? But we don't respect we don't respect the children. Like, we say we respect the ancestors, because the ancestors are the children and the children are the ancestors. We are all the fucking same. So where's our funnel being stopped? Spirit of rod spoiled a child. Now we're beating fucking babies. We're whooping the fuck out of kids and turning the cheeks to our enemies. That's not ancestral. That's not honoring our ancestors. You know what ancestors that's honoring? Our enemies' ancestors. If you're turning the cheek to the enemy, to their enemy, right? Their ancestors are telling them and protecting them and opening up the path for you to turn the other cheek to them motherfuckers. We'll turn the cheek to a motherfucking enemy and beat the hell out of our fucking babies. And we wonder why, oh, the baby left when they couldn't wait. Like, why the fuck are all of us saying collectively, like, this is like, I don't know why. So I can't wait till I turn 18. Why do a lot of us have that conversation with our parents when we're young? Something happened. And because of that, we're not giving the proper credence to our ancestors. We're not. It's a joke. We're playing with it. We're fucking playing with it. Let's keep it a bean. We are playing with it, and we're not taking it serious. You dig what I'm saying? Like, this is why I'm telling people, like, yo, you can command the ancestors. You're supposed to, because the ancestors are going to command you. We have it all fucked up. We raise our children to do for us. No, we're supposed to be doing for our children. They come in here raw for a reason. They pick, like, whether you acknowledge it or not, like, we pick the families that we come in for the specific trials and tribulations that we have. Each family is supposed to prepare the child. Like, your children's floor should be your ceiling. Y'all shouldn't start off on the same floor. You shouldn't build a ceiling, then put them on the floor and say, now you have to build a ceiling like mine. That's counterproductive. That's not leveling up. That's not ascending. That makes us descendants. We're descendants of these ancestors. We're supposed to be ascendants of them. You feel what I mean? So our entire dynamic, our entire scope, and our entire perspective is completely tainted. Are we really paying attention to our ancestors and doing what we're supposed to be doing for them? I get it. We talk about that. I pray. But how many kids have you poured into? How many people in this physical plane have you interacted with in an attempt to change their life, to make their circumstance better? Now, I'm not saying be hands-on and do that shit, but at the end of the day, what happens is you can't command the ancestors to do the shit and then get mad when a physical being commands you to do the same. Because they are an ancestor too in the physical plane, just like you're an ancestor. Y'all supposed to coexist, work together to help each other. You feel me? We study all of these stories, whether it's Natarianism, whether it's Ifa, whether it's the Loas. Like, there's marriages, there's weddings, there's interactions between the spiritual side. And they work together. You feel me? Why are we not doing that on a physical plane too? Because as we say, as above, so below, as within, so without, all of this shit is real. It connects. I can't be in one place looking at a connection between two energetic forces on the spiritual side and not be willing to be an energetic force connecting in the physical side. To create and be able to create the portal that allows that whatever vessel that is that I have been commanding to look over me, to protect me, to do things, to come back into this plane. Spiritual side is powerful. A lot of our shit is locked into the Akashic records, and we don't know how to tap into the Akashic records. You dig what I mean? But the problem is that we have lost who we were from the spiritual side. So we try to, the ancestors, that's why grieving is so bad. That's why grieving is so hard. That's why, we have to know, okay, now you're just closer to me. When my grandmother was killed, I didn't see she was gone. She got closer to me. You feel me? She got closer to me. And me and my grandma had such a dope connection. I understand why. Whether she was religious or not, that's irrelevant. Whether I left the religion, that's irrelevant. Our spirits and our energies connected for a very reason. And it was like, yo, here's the groundwork that you're going to have to do. But when we come into this plane, we don't have that spiritual connection anymore because we lose it because our parents no longer have it. You feel me? Our parents no longer have it. So how the fuck are they going to elevate us? You feel me? How are they going to elevate us? And when we have to start over and we have all of these different things that have there is a very specific reason why we have religions, and the religions don't serve us because we cannot access our ancestral connection. The Bible speaks very specifically on this. It says, let the dead stay dead. Cool. I'm all out on that on the physical plane. You feel me? Don't dig up no bodies. Don't be doing no shit like that. But what that meant was stay away from that spiritual side. Everything that was listed in that, the Bible says, do not consult with mediums or spiritualists. It says, do not consult with mediums or spiritualists. And you want me to believe that this is a spiritual doctrine. How the fuck can it tell you not to consult with mediums or spiritualists? All of us are mediums and spiritualists. We all have some kind of connection to the other side. And you know what they say when our connection hits? Oh, you're demonic. You're a demon. Oh, that's that dark shit. You shouldn't be fucking with that. No, it becomes dark when you have been taught that it was bad. So you don't know how to use it for light. We're all connected to the other side. We all get downloads. We all have these random dreams that are too fucking real that are telling us a motherfucking story. We are that. Let the dead be the dead. You can't let the dead be dead. No, because we don't die. We have birth and rebirth. It's that simple. You feel me? That's why it gets me sometimes, because it's even as religious people, we have an innate knowing that we can say somebody died, they're in a better place now. They're in heaven, whatever the case may be. But then say, yo, that such and such came back. Such and such came back. You can't leave heaven. Once you're there, you're there. Supposedly, that's the rule. That's the story. How the fuck are we coming back if that can't be our place? That can't be our final place because we're coming back. But our ancestors have always taught us that there's cycles of rebirth. Cycles of rebirth. So again, I'm asking yourself, and then this is what makes your mission easier to do. You feel me? If I know that, I use myself as a solid example. I know that whatever it is that I have to come back for, it's going to be related to masculinity in some way, shape, or form. In addition to that, whoever is on that other side that needs me, that has been protecting me, I get protection from multiple ancestors because I have multiple veins of shit. You feel me? Multiple veins of shit. And people be thinking it's just random shit that I'm doing. Because these things they're unrelated. You feel me? How are you a day trader? How are you teaching people how to be vegan? How are you, how are you doing so many different things and there's not one particular thing you're good at? I'm good at it, but there's not one particular thing that you're saying, okay, I'm going to specialize in this. This is going to be my major. This is what it's going to be. How are there multiple veins? Because I got multiple motherfuckers protecting me. I have multiple motherfuckers using me to create some shit for them to come back in. So in order for me to create this, I need that deal. You feel me? Now, don't get me wrong. Please don't get so hyped up and watching all of these motherfucking magical shows that once you make a deal with somebody on the other side, it's automatically a demonic deal. It's automatically some shit that your soul is, you're selling your soul. Kill that shit, please. You feel me? If you're gonna do dark, if you can If you concede to dark forces was going to happen. I fuck with light. I fuck with the light. Every ancestor that is protecting me right now, every ancestor that I command, every ancestor that speaks to me and gives me the protection that I need, right? I'm doing something for them. You feel me? The first point that I really thought about, I was like, yo, my great-granddaughter. I said, when I started putting Sofrel together, I had my great-granddaughter in mind. I don't even have a child yet, but I had my great-granddaughter in mind. My great-granddaughter, I have a homegirl who's very connected to the other side. So much so that she can see my great-granddaughter and tell me when I'm off my shit. She'd be like, she's like, you're not doing right. You need to do this. If you don't, and it's almost if I don't move a certain way, I'm not going to be a certain thing. Because I have to, it's so strategic that I have to be in a specific energy, a specific vibration to do a specific number of things in order to even meet the woman I'm supposed to be with. There's a specific woman that I'm supposed to be with in order to create the path for my great-granddaughter to come in. This is 4 generations out. You feel what I mean? This is 4 generations out. Some people don't have a vision to see that far. Because I do, they're able to connect with me on that side and say, look, this is what we're going to need. Start doing this. So when I look at Sofrel, I'm like, yo, bam, I have to start this shit now. So that way, when my great-granddaughter comes in, she's able to pick a man who is, chances are, if whoever has read Sofrel now, their energy has already transmuted the proper information and whatnot. It's now been stored in their DNA. They're going to be able to have a kid. Like, the fact that it's going to, like, this showed me, like, it's going to take 4 generations for this to manifest itself. 4. There's people right now that read Sofrel and it's like, yo, it changed my reality and this, that, and the third. Cool. This ain't for you. This is for 4 generations out. Somebody's going to come 4 generations down and they have to do this. Now, these are the things that our ancestors have been trying to tell us. These are the things that have been like, but we have to know how to connect with that side. You feel what I'm saying? I didn't come back into this plane at this particular time for nothing. It was already agreed upon. From the last lifetime that I had, I was like, look, bro, I'm gonna, like, whoever it is, when you call on me, like, this is why it's important to know your bloodlines. This is why it's important. Like, we don't know none of that shit anymore. Because we need that, because that intercession is gone. Like, a lot of us are reviving that. So a lot of us that are reviving that, you have to understand that, one, you can't lose heart and feel as if it's not working. I can't get through to my people. You're not supposed to. Your mission is not for this generation. Accept that. Your ancestors, your guides, whatever it is that is protecting you, they know that, okay, we're not coming in right now. But this is what we need you to do to make sure that we're good when we come in. So when you're commanding, hey, look, I need y'all to, like, pay attention to what the fuck you're actively doing in this world. You feel me? My own mission. I have to do all of these things that I have to do is for, okay, bam, the next generation I have to start planning. They have to multiply all that I have. And it's going to take 4 generations for it to be ready. I know it seems like, oh, that's a big burden. Now, why do you feel like, I don't feel like that's a burden. That's not a burden. When you accept your mission for this world and you realize the full back and forth nature, you realize the ancestral antecedents that's happening, you realize that in real time, you're the ancestor. They're going to be calling all 4 generations out, 3 generations out, 2 generations out. You're that ancestor. Are you preparing yourself to be called on? We love to call on the ancestors. Are you preparing yourself to be called on? Do you have favorite things? Are you setting up yourself to have favorite things, to have things that you like, to have things that you deal with, to have things that can be used as offerings for when you need to be commanded? You feel me? How are you going to figure that out if you do not know who you are? If you're not able to show up to yourself authentically? When you become an ancestor, how are they going to call you? How are they going to command you to do what they need you to do? And how are you going to set the seed and say, hey, look, I need to come back. This is what you have to do for this. This is our exchange. Like I said, everybody thinks it's demonic. Everybody thinks, oh, you're selling your soul to the devil and you're doing evil shit. Yeah, if you go down a dark route. Simple. But when you go down the light route, there's no selling of anything. There's an even exchange for command. They command you, you command them. You feel me? They command you and you command them. It's that simple. It's really not that complex. It's really not that complex. But when you're afraid of it, it gets hard. This is why you get into these PC things and you can't say certain shit. You can't operate like, I have to be my authentic self in and out, through and through, because of this very reason. Because of this very reason. I understand that I'm a cycle breaker. I understand that I'm a bridge. I understand that I'm multiple things in this plane. You feel me? On the side that people can't see. Yeah, you can see that I'm a day trader. You can see that I'm this. You can see that I do podcasting. You can see I talk more shit than a little bit. You feel me? But all of this is required. All of this is required for something that has to come down the line, because the ancestors that I'm calling on, the ancestors that are guiding me, the ancestors that are helping me, the ancestors that are interceding on my behalf, going into rooms before I even get there, how everybody's saying it, I have to do something for them. I have to do something for them. And what is that thing that I have to do? I have to make sure that they're able to come back in this plane. You feel me? Like I was saying with my homeboy, when he was saying that the ancestors, you know, with a lot of them transitioning on, it's like you're the, you know what I mean? He's like, yo, the torch has been, it wasn't passed to me. It wasn't passed to me. The torch wasn't passed. But we come from the same lineage. We come from the same connection. I protected them before I even came into this motherfucker. I guided them. I opened doors for them. I stepped in for certain things. You know, I'm not saying me as if I'm the only one, but like, because they've had other ancestors. But I know my mission with the people that I resonate with the most. And I know that, okay, oh, so all y'all are here on my accord? All right, so because I was there on your accord to get you to these certain points. So why? When I come into this plane, I'm going to experience you for a little bit. And I'm going to get everything that I need to get out of you, get from you, because you're going to have to cut a curve for me. Case in point. I learn really fast. I use this as an example, right? I learn really, really fast. Why? Because one of my gifts is the gift of thought. It's just what I was divinely blessed with. You feel me? I have the gift of thought. You can give me any bit of information and I can connect dots that people can't even see. I can bridge gaps to things that people don't even understand. I'm like, how did you do? Because it's my gift. I have the gift of thought, which means that I can learn fast, which means that I can take years of information and condense it and knock it down in 6 months, just like that. But I knew that I couldn't take those years to get that, because what I need to do, I needed to be young for. What I needed to do, I needed to go, bam, I got to go ahead and knock it out, right? So when I look at the ancestors now, you know, rest their soul, and, you know, when I look at some of the ancestors now, it's like when I look at them from, let's say, from the medical side, you know, Dr. Africa had studied 40 plus years, all of his information, condensed it down to books for me to read. That's not an accident. Feel me? Dr. Sebi went through the jungles and did all of that stuff that he can do to build everything they did to leave the herbal information. That's not, and their energetic connection, you know, bridged the gap. When we look at Dr. Henry Clark, when we look at Dr. Ben, when we look at all these people that have did the historian part, they condensed all of the shit for books. You feel me? I'm not saying for me individually, but when I'm looking at how they operated as ancestors, they're like, okay, bam, this is what I have to, you know, I'm like, look, I can, when I was on that other side, before I even came into this plane, you feel me? I was able to intercede with them. I was able to connect with them, and they were able to command me to do shit, protect them, because it's like, hey, this is what I'm going to need you to do for when I come back into this motherfucker. When I'm ready to come back into this motherfucker, because I'm going to need you. I'm going to need what you can put into this world, because only you can do it the way I need it done. Like, do you feel how powerful that is? Only you can do it the way I need. That's what our ancestors do when they work for us, because they know only you can do what I need to be, only you can do what I need done the way that I need it done. So when I come back into this plane, I'm picking up where you left off. There's an ancestor right now. Name, I don't know. I don't know any of the energy. I just know that they're guiding me. And from the health side, that's one thing. You feel me? People are like, how do you just read books and get it? How can you not read a book? But that's my gift. You feel what I'm saying? Whatever I'm doing with Sofrel, whatever I'm supposed to do with Sofrel, as great as people think it is, and this is not me tooting my own horn, but it's just the reality that I've learned to face. As great as Sofrel is and has become, I don't think motherfuckers have really seen the tip of that iceberg yet. Because when I tell people that the life that I lived, they're like, yo, the life that you lived and everything. Yes, I compiled all of this because somebody else is going to have to just come down and read it and pick up. You feel me? And multiply the shit. Tupac said it best. He said, I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I'm going to be the spark of the mind that does. That's a powerful sentiment to understand the connection with the ancestral side. Because the work that we put in this physical plane, somebody on that other side needs that. They need that work. And in order for us to command them, you feel me? In order for them to protect, like, look, bro, I need you to intercede on this. I can't go out. I can't do that. Like, you have to work out for me in this particular way. I'm going to do my part, but I need you to protect me. That's the thing. That's how you command. They're commanding you. You're commanding them. So when they come back in and you become the ancestors, like, I think I'll come back through you. And people think it's just from the physical aspect. No, I'm going to come back mentally through you. Or I'm going to come back spiritually through you. But you need to leave this for me so I can remember. You need to leave this for me so I can start to pick up the pieces. You feel what I'm saying? At specific times, at specific intervals when I'm ready. Now, you can deviate from your path. You can deviate from that, but it's not when you're being when you're avoiding who your authentic self really is, because that's where your soul is. That's who has to come back in and get these messages and has to pick up the pieces and move forward. You feel what I mean? Like, that's how we honor our ancestors. That's how we connect with our ancestors the right way. That's how we give that credence. You feel me? Like, still give your, I'm not saying don't do that shit. Still give your offerings. Still, like, do whatever it is rituals that you're working that's working for you. Do that. Because that's whatever connection you made with them, whatever pact you made with them, that's how they fuck with you. That's how they fuck with you. So that's how you meet with them. You feel me? Me, on the other hand, my connection is different. I don't necessarily have to do all of those things simply because my first form of reverence is being my authentic self. You feel me? Being my authentic self in conjunction in relation to knowing that I'm fucking with y'all. I'm doing this for y'all. Because I know somebody's coming through me. I just don't know who. And I don't know how powerful you're going to be, but I know that whatever it is, you're going to take whatever I'm doing and multiply. But I have to set a certain precedence. I have to set a certain template to make it, like, case in point, when I look at how Dr. Africa operated, he made it comfortable for me to talk the shit that I talk like I talk. When I look at how Dick Gregory delivered his message, he makes it easy for me to deliver the shit that I talk. You feel what I'm saying? It's so raw, it's so organic, and it's so authentic. They're not trying to appeal or appease to anybody. That's not within their culture. You feel me? Those two men talk more shit than a little bit. When you actually sit and listen to their lectures and shit like that, but they gave you the nuggets. My template is pretty much the same. And I didn't really know, like, and I was able to do it without trying. I'm like, but when I actually tried, I'm going to make sure I articulate right. And I'm like, I still articulate, but I'm like, I'm going to make sure I speak a certain way. I'm not going to say certain things. No, I speak how I feel. And I have to be my authentic self. And I got my template from watching, oh, y'all are y'all authentic selves with that. Okay. So that's how I have to be for us, for our people. So prior to me even coming into this plane, I knew, like, my essence knew, okay, bam, I have to, there's a lot of, see, what's dope is that all of the people, let's say all of the people that you looked up to, all of the people that you consider elders, all the people that are older than you that resonate with you, hell, even people that might be your age, people that are younger than you, like, because, it's timeless. But these people that you resonate with the heaviest, at one point in time, you were their ancestor, right? And then you came into this world and you started to see, oh, these are going to be my ancestors. No matter what the distance is, no matter how far it is, no matter what it is, you start to see who your ancestors are immediately. And then they leave. Now you know who to call on. Now you know how to call them by their names. You feel what I mean? Because yes, you have your original bloodline, but you have your spiritual line too. Your spiritual line is who your soul connects with. Soul tribe shit. When you just sit with somebody and it resonates so heavy with you and it's like, yo, I feel like I know you, you family. That is your spiritual side. When they leave this motherfucker, you are connecting with your ancestors in real time and who's going to be there when they leave, you have a source on who to call on. It's like a baton being passed. You feel what I mean? Yeah, it's a baton being passed. So when you need your clarity, you need to go within their sources. Now you have the essence for them. This is why they leave books. This is why they write, because they say when you reread this, you can see what my essence was. This is why I put my authenticity in everything that I do, because whoever comes after me and needs me, I don't know who this person is. I don't know who this being is going to be. I don't know what family they're going to be born into. I don't know none of that shit, but I do know they need me as I am. Whatever they have to do for this next phase, they need me as I am. You feel me? Everybody that I looked up to, everybody that I consider an ancestor, everybody that I could ever consider the elder, they speak the way that I speak. Now, granted, I ain't gonna front. It's 2020. I probably cuss a lot more than them. I probably talk a lot more shit than they talk. You feel me? But at the same time, I'm in the same vein of their energy. I'm in the exact same vein of their energy. And a lot of us come from that same point, the same gutter part, like, and then making something more. And so when I'm in my my modes, when I have to do my meditations, when I have to speak, when I have to connect with them, that's how I do it. I know, okay, I'm connecting with you because I need to. I need this particular energy. I need this particular connection. I need this particular power. I need that. You feel me? But here's the thing. This is what you have to do for me. You feel me? You have to leave me certain nuggets. You have to leave me certain trinkets. You have to leave me certain things that resonate with me, that are going to imprint to my soul, so I can remember and continue forward. You feel me? And that's the battle. Not the battle, but that's the connection, the bridge between rebirth and the cycle. That's the connection that we have with our ancestors. That is what it means to be connected with the other side, the spiritual side, and truly be connected. If you are disconnected from that shit and you are not able to fully see your ancestors within this physical world, how are you going to know who to call on the other side? And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes Merch and get your merchandise right now. All right, I'm gonna try to put the cap on that. Believe it or not, I had so many different topics written down on what I want to talk about, and I couldn't stick to any of those topics. But what came out had to come out. The point of that was very important because our ancestors are very important, but we need to understand our ancestors, and for one, stop romanticizing things. Stop romanticizing things, and then get out of the necromancy of it all. You feel me? Death is going to happen. It's just a part of life. Don't grieve and dwell on their absence. Accept their presence and what it was here for, and multiply it as it resonates with you. There's people that have passed on that we can't even remember anymore. But there's people that passed on we will never forget. And when you get to the point where you can never forget them, when they change your life, whatever it is, they were an ancestor. And you were their ancestor at one point in time, and you've all worked together. And you knew that you needed them to come back. And they're going to need you to come back, so you have to continue their work. You feel me? You can't be corrupted. You can't be manipulated into doing things against them. You can't be manipulated, because that's treason. That's treason. You got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. There's trials and tribulations. There's things that you're going to have to go through, that you're going to look at life and say, I shouldn't have gone through that. But how did you ask yourself, how did I make it out of that? Because this is a particular thing you're going to have to overcome in order to allow the ancestor to come in and do their part. If I'm going to, like, that's why I'm saying you can command them. Because your physical work is the compensation. The way in which you're being your authentic self, the way in which you're responding and respecting children, loving children, setting up things to break cycles. And it's like, when you start to do that, your ancestors smile on you on a regular basis. It almost feels like you can't lose, but you have to respect what you're doing it for. You have to respect your ancestors, and you have to respect their incarnations. You have to respect yourself as an extension of them. You feel me? Stop asking them for shit. Start commanding them to do what you need them to do, but do what they need to have you brought. Like, when you start to figure out what your life mission is, what your plan is, when you get over the traumas, when you get, like, the pains that we feel are the things that shape us. There's a saying that says, it's not even a saying, it's a reality. I've experienced this several times. There's a traumatic event that happens in your life that opens up your heart chakra. They talk about 5D, they talk about whatever the case may be. When you open up your heart chakra, the heart chakra serves as the bridge between the spiritual and the physical realm. You feel me? I talk about it in my episode of chakras, but I give a brief synopsis right now. Your first three chakras, your root, sacral, and solar plexus, that defines you. When you're able to get to your solar plexus chakra, which is your personal identity, then you're able to traverse. You cannot traverse the spirit into the spiritual realm without knowing who the fuck you are. If your solar plexus chakra is blocked because you don't have a solid personal identity, you cannot. Who are you going to go and talk to? Because you don't even know what you're looking for. But that's where the heart chakra is. That significant trauma that happens, it opens you up. You connect to the other side. But now you have to say, okay, bam, it's time for me to start healing and fixing it. You can't hold we're stuck in a society that teaches us to stay in grief, to stay pitiful, to stay, oh, woe is me, to trauma bond. You feel me? Rather than healing, we would trauma bond to feel comfortable. You feel me? That keeps us from that side. When you go through your significant trauma or whatever the case may be, your great trauma that opens you up to that other side, pay attention to that. Because there's a reason why you're going through that. And once you heal from it, I have another podcast on it too. Your purpose is on the other side of your pain. Your purpose is on the other side of your pain. If you can heal from that, if you can get through that point, you'll start to see certain things. The more pains you have, yes, the more purposes you have. But it's a reason why you're still protected through those. You feel me? When I look at my first heartbreak, the shit broke me down. I was just talking about it in Soulful Conversations, how Soulful was created. My first heartbreak, one of the things that opened up my heart chakra. One of the things that opened me up. And in healing that, I figured out why I went through it. You feel me? The way that I did. You feel what I'm saying? Being raised without a father, another thing. broke my whole heart chakra open. But I figured out why I had to go through that. I was run over by a car when I was 17 months old. The trauma of it all opened up my heart chakra. Like, I had multiple purposes because I had multiple pains, severe pains. But there's a severe pain that you've gone through that is your trial. I'm not saying that they put you through it on purpose or anything like that, because the choice and the path that you walked is your actions that led you up to that point. You were going to get to that route anyway of that level of revelation. You feel what I mean? The way in which you go through is basically all on the way that you maneuver through life. You feel what I mean? But when you feel that purpose and you feel that pain and you get to that point where, okay, I had to overcome it, you start to see what your purpose is. Your purpose is what you're going to be able to use. Fulfilling your purpose is how you're able to command your ancestors. Fulfilling your purpose is how you're able to command your ancestors to do what you need them to do, because by fulfilling your purpose, you're doing what they need you to do to come back. You feel what I mean? So you have to really, 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 really know who you are. Know yourself. Know yourself. If you don't know who you are, then you cannot be your authentic self. If you cannot be your authentic self, your ancestors cannot intercede and protect you and do what you need them to do, because they have to do for your soul, not your physical, not even your mental. It's your soul that connects you with them. When your authentic self can show up, everything else starts to open up, and it feels like the floodgates are open. You're not fronting, you're not playing. You're starting to see this is how they work. So I get it when we intercede, when we talk to priestesses and all of this, and they tell you might be like, that's cool. I'm not knocking any of that. But that is still a gateway to get you to your direct lineage. There's other ways to get to it. You feel what I mean? And like I said, one of the best ways is to be your authentic self. You feel me? Because if you're still coming into these places and you're still coming into as what somebody tells you you have to be within this realm, that's not you. That's what somebody else is telling you to be. You'll go to the places that you need to go. Because you know that you have to have certain things in order to bring these ancestors back into the physical plane. Because when they become children, they're going to look up to you. You feel me? One thing that I've always heard was that babies and children gravitate towards people with good souls. And I was like, why the fuck do they do that? Like, the fuck, like, no matter how much fucked up shit I did in this world, when I was around kids, when I was around children, they loved me. They loved me. Like, they wouldn't cry. They would just sit and just like, and it's not even children, it's people as a whole. Motherfuckers just come to me and just like, and I never really understood why that was the case. And it's like, it's deeper than having a good soul. It's having the connection to understand that there was some kind of rendezvous we had at some point where we had to meet. You feel me? I got little cousins I got little cousins with crazy stories in life. I got people that, and it's like, they come to me and it's just like whenever we would have a family reunion, I'm 30 now. This has been this way since I was like in college. But whenever we have a family reunion, whenever we had to get together, of all the adults, all the kids want to play with me. Hey, Ray, come outside and play football with us. Fuck, man, I'm old now, bro. Like, leave me alone. But I go out and play with them. There's a reason that they all able to. I'm like, yo, all of these old heads in here. But I'm the only one they sit and listen to. I'm the only one they comfortable with talking to. That's when it hit me. That's when my revelation was able to go off, that it's like, damn, this is a rebirth. This is birth and rebirth. At some point, I'm going to be their ancestor again. And I'm still going to be protecting them the way that I am now. You feel me? Still going to be protecting them the way that I am now. And they were protecting me before they even came into this plane. So I need you to go through this, because you're going to have to help me at one particular point. You're going to have to help me at some point in this world. So I'm going to protect you in exchange for you fulfilling your purpose. And in that exchange, I'm going to command you to protect me. It's a synergy. You don't have to ask them for anything. Because like I said, when you ask, you receive, and then you say thank you. Now you got to put in the work first, and then they just do it when you ask them to do it. You feel me? It's just like a good employee. You give them the raises automatically. You do all of the shit they want to do. You're like, hey, I need you to go do it. I got you. You feel me? I had a supervisor who, and this is how I ultimately moved up into management as fast as I was, because me and him, when like it was that command. You feel me? He would just bump me up the raises just because. You feel me? He would give me extra work and all of these things like that. And it's like, he would ask me to do, hey, yo, somebody called out, can you come? I got you. I got you. You feel me? Because he always compensated me up front. Like, he would hit me up, bro, I'll give you $75, you can work this overnight shift. I'm in there. Click. You feel me? Little shit like that. That shit happens on a broader scale with our ancestors. You feel me? You may not be able to know them by their name because of the way cultural history has stripped so much of us. But understand how they feel. Go into, like, when you start to gravitate towards something that's created from a specific person, that might be your ancestor, that might be somebody you're connected to spiritually. Study them, learn them. Learn their movements and learn how it connects with you. So when your time comes and they transition on, you understand that now they're protecting you. And they're going to give you the guidance. They're going to give you the insight. They're going to fuel you to keep going. You feel me? But you got to know how to call on them. You got to know how to call on them. And in this physical plane, you have to start now preparing yourself to be an ancestor. I'm not saying get ready for death. Don't know. Hell no. Let me say that. Because like I said, we're in a necromantic. So by that, I'm preparing myself to die. No. Continue living fully, but make sure that you're able to be an ancestor that can be called on. What are your favorite things? Like, this is why it's important to know yourself. What are your favorite things? You feel me? What are people going to be able to, like, it's joking and shit, but like, I can imagine that if I became an ancestor to call on me, somebody could just say, hey, yo, bruh. Like, they can say it like that because they're familiar with that connection with me. Things that I like, things that you feel me? And they have to honor their purpose. You feel me? And that's what we have to remember. That's something that we really have to remember, because it's a rebirth and a birth. The ancestors are going to keep coming back. They need vessels to come back through. And they know who they're going to protect. They know who they know who's going to give them the life they need. They know who's going to do certain things, you know, to bring out the best in them. And I know a lot of us is like, yo, I've gone through traumatic shit in my life. How did that bring out the best in me? You were stronger than you anticipated. Some people have to go through only good shit because they're not strong enough for that shit. You feel me? When you were an ancestor, you said, look, I need you to do this, that, and the third, because I have to use you as the vessel to come back in this space so I can go through this. You didn't even anticipate that it was going to be a difficult task when you came in here. That's why a lot of times we can just put up with the shit and be like, all right, fuck it, I'll get through it. It's our physical side that kind of starts to play into it, because our frequency slows down when we come into this plane. But when we, like I said, when we overcome the pain, find our purpose, and we start living in our purpose, we now are preparing ourselves to be ancestors. We're preparing for that ancestral side. In Black Panther, when he was talking to T'Challa, when T'Challa went to the ancestral realm, he said, if as a father, I have not prepared my son for when I die, I have failed, or some shit like that. He may not have said exactly like that, but it was something along those lines. If I have not prepared you for my death, I have failed. You feel me? Which means that my life has to be so fruitful that I have to live my purpose 100% so I can be called upon when the time comes. Feel me? I know I'm going to be an ancestor. I already know it. We're all going to be ancestors, but I know I'm going to be called upon. But I have to put myself in a position that I can be called upon when I need to be. You feel me? And that's what this is all about. That's what our ancestral connection is about. So if we're not able to connect and do that, we're going to lose sight of a lot of things. You feel me? We're going to lose sight of a lot of things. And yeah, I don't want to ramble too much more. I will say this again. Reverence to your ancestors, being your authentic self and respecting children. If you're not doing those two things, your offerings, your rituals, your root work, your candle work, your moon shit, it don't mean shit. If you can look at a child and not want to pour life into them, if you can look at a child and kill their dreams, if you can look at a child and force them to live a life that they can't, you're not respecting the ancestors. You feel what I mean? You're not respecting the ancestors. If you're not being your authentic self, you're not respecting the ancestors you're not respecting the ancestors in regards that they entrusted you to be a certain way. They entrusted you to operate. I put you in this life for a reason. Feel me? I didn't grow up in the hood. I didn't grow up with all of the trappers and drug dealers and shit that I grew up with for me to not act like I didn't grow up with them. You feel me? You didn't go through all of the shit. You didn't go through the original life I know it was hard. I know it seemed like it was trauma. I know it seemed like it was tragic. I know it seemed like life dealt you a bad hand, but you didn't go through that shit for nothing. Your purpose is on the other side of that pain. But that was the only thing strong enough to get you to your purpose. So with that being said, be sure to follow me on Instagram _just_seen_. Be sure to check out my website. I'm fucking drawing blanks today. I don't fucking know it. IamJustSeen.com to be taken to my books, courses, everything that is me. Be sure to get my books, Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw, Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. if you're trying to transition to the plant-based lifestyle. So Frail, a reality to Black male masculinity. So Frail 2, toxic femininity. And much appreciated to everybody who tips and donates, and sponsors the podcast on a regular basis. I appreciate you all. You are loved, respected, and appreciated. If you would like to sponsor or tip, you can PayPal, Cash App. It's all in the description of your podcast. Yeah, that's about it, yo. Continue to do what you do if those are the rituals or the processes that you do with your ancestors. But always remember that those 2 points are very, very quintessential. Your reverence to your ancestors is going to be on you being your authentic self, and you being able to respect children and pour into children and set yourself up. Start paying attention to that shit. Not only are your children going to be those that help you in the physical realm after the long run, but children as a collective are going to be the very beings that have to call on you, but you have to protect in order to come back in order to have somebody to segue back into this physical plane. And you're going to need to plant the seeds accordingly to complete your next mission, should you choose to accept it, or should you choose to forget that you even had one. You feel me? We all got a purpose. We all got powers like that we're supposed to be using to achieve our mission. Tap into them. So with that being said, go kiss your babies. In addition to kissing your babies, you are giving thanks to your ancestors because they are back. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. Go live, love, and laugh, and enjoy the rest of your day. Don't let these retrogrades fuck with y'all on the negative side. It's just energy. Transmute that shit. Whatever you're feeling, transmute it into something positive and create something powerful. I see y'all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.